Good morning. What a blessed morning we have. And speaking of holidays, yes, I had a fabulous holiday. The day that we left was 106 Fahrenheit. And then I came home to this beautiful white stuff. And you know what? I have to say I'm truly blessed. It was so hot down there that we had a thing of butter out on the table. Just took it out because we're going to, it was a little soft. Well, we had butter pudding. So we couldn't butter our toast that morning. So we just used jam and peanut butter. But it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Would I trade courtside for Alberta? No. I love the Four Seasons. I enjoyed all the walks and picking up rocks and stuff. And as I'm walking, picking up rocks, they say, watch out for scorpions and snakes. And I thought, well, they don't come out until April. No, they came out early because it got hot really fast. So I'm walking around, kicking, stepping back, waiting. Nothing's moving, so I pick something. I pick up a rock. And so it was really good. I'm really blessed and to have gone through that experience. So possibly next year, maybe go down for a month if I can find some water close to Quartzside, because there's not a lot there. So, Arizona. Check it out on YouTube if you ever get a chance. It was quite an amazing adventure. We saw a lot of interesting things down there, to say the least. So today my talk is the dandelion and the rose, and it's recognizing the sacred in every expression of life. So before we begin, let's take a gentle deep breath together, breathing in oneness and breathing out anything that does not need to be carried into this beautiful moment. And as we begin with an opening treatment, you can close your eyes if you so choose. I know there is one life, one presence, one infinite source that creates and sustains all things. It is the same life that forms the rose and the dandelion, the same life that lives as you and as lives as me. This life is expressing itself perfectly, uniquely, and beautiful through each of us just as we are. Knowing this truth, we release all comparison and all self-judgment. We let go of the belief that we must earn our worth or prove that we belong here. We remember here and now that we are already included in the wholeness of life. As I accept this for myself, I accept this treatment for each and every one here. With deep gratitude for this truth, I release these words into the law of mind, confident and trusting that it is now done, and so it is. So today we explore a simple yet profound spiritual teaching that our lives, that one lives quietly in gardens, alongside walks, and the untended spaces of our lives. Today we talk about the dandelion and the rose. And I have to say, when I was down in Quartzside, there was no dandelions and there was no roses, and there was hardly any flowers except for one little group of flowers when we were out way back in I call it the back 40. And it had these cute little red flowers on it. And it reminded me of the rose. And I'm thinking like, wow, this is really quite interesting, because you have roses that are red, but there was nothing yellow out there except for the sun that was beaten down. It was at 106 degrees. So the story begins that the rose has long been celebrated. It's cultivated, admired, photographed, gifted, and praised. It appears in poetry, in romance, and in ceremonies. The rose is welcomed into gardens and carefully protected. It is called beautiful, rare, and worthy. And then there's the dandelion. The dandelion grows where it's not invited. It pushes up through the cracks in the concrete, and go down on pavement. When you see pavement, they're just growing. And it appears announced in manicured lawns. How many of you have those beautiful little sunshines in your grass, and you go and you just, pluck them out, right? Well, guess what? They're there for a reason. And the dandelion is often labeled a weed, something to be pulled, sprayed, and eliminated. And yet, both the dandelion and the rose emerge from the same soil. Both turn instinctively toward the sun, And both are expressions of the same life seeking to know itself. Spirit does not make mistakes, and yet we humans have learned to rank creation, deciding what is acceptable, valuable, or worthy of admiration. This is not just a story about flowers. This is a story about us, who we are. Ernest Holmes reminds us that life is one, and that one is expressing in infinite form. So you're expressing in infinite form. Although we are connected in one mind, we express differently. Each and every one of us express differently. And that is so wonderful that we have so many unique individuals in this world that we can just look at. But we don't have to compare ourselves to them because we're not them. We don't walk in their shoes. I don't want to walk in anybody else's shoes except for my own, because I have a hard enough time walking in my own, never mind in somebody else's. So you're here for you. There is not one kind of life for the rose and another kind for the dandelion. There is not one spirit that is refined and acceptable, and another one that is wild, unwanted, or lesser. There is one source, endlessly creative, expressing itself through everything that exists. The dandelion does not ask permission to grow. It does not apologize for its brightness. It does not shrink because it's not planted intentionally. It simply says yes to life, and so does the rose. So what do we learn from the rose? Well, the rose teaches us about cultivated beauty. It shows us what happens when attention, care, and intention are applied. The rose reminds us that there is value in refinement, in patience, in devotion. Many of us has learned to strive to be the rose. We polish ourselves, we prune out the edges, hide our thorns. We try to present the most sociable, acceptable version of who we are. We ask ourselves, am I successful enough? Am I spiritual enough? Am I healed enough? Am I lovable enough? The rose represents the part of us that seeks approval, recognition, and validation. And there's nothing wrong with that. The rose is not wrong for being a rose. But the problem arises when we believe only roses are worthy of love. So what do we learn from the dandelion? The dandelion teaches us something different. The dandelion teaches us resilience. Ooh, turn up my mouth here. It teaches us authenticity. It teaches us belonging without permission. The dandelion does not wait for ideal conditions. It does not require a perfect environment to bloom. It thrives in places that seem inhospitable. The dandelion blooms anyway. And when it's finished blooming, it does something extraordinary. It releases itself, it lets go, and it trusts the wind. Every tiny seed carries the intelligence of life within it, trusting that it will land exactly where it was meant to grow. The dandelion knows something deeply spiritual. Life is not scarce. Expression is not limited. There is room for everyone. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that amazing that we can just walk out in the field and all see all these beautiful dandelions expressing and just being. And then we can go to someone's garden or to greenhouse and see these beautiful roses that are there and just admire them for what they are. So many of us has internalized the belief that we must be a rose to be loved. When we feel messy, unrefined, out of place, we judge ourselves. How many of us judge ourselves when we feel that we're not perfect of who we are? Yeah, we all do. We all judge ourselves. You look in the mirror, oh, my hair's not right, or my lipstick is crooked, or, I've gained a few pounds, I lost a few pounds, or whatever. Does it matter? Because Source loves you exactly who you are, regardless of what's going on. So when our lives don't look together, when our healing feels incomplete, when our growth is non-linear, we label ourselves weeds. But Spirit does not see the weed. You're not a weed. Spirit sees expression of who you truly are. Spirit sees courage pushing through difficulty. Spirit sees beauty that does not require approval. Spirit sees life saying yes to itself. The dandelion does not try to be a rose. The rose is not threatened by the dandelion. There is room for both on planet Earth. Each has a place in the divine plan. Comparison is one of the great illusions of the human experience. When we compare, we forget our own unique purpose. A rose will never nourish bees the way a dandelion does. Isn't that interesting? I just thought that even if with a rose, it would still have the same, but it doesn't, because the dandelion is the healing plant. So a rose will never be medicine the way the dandelion has been, and a rose will never survive harsh conditions the way the dandelion can. And a dandelion will never be what it's not meant to be. Each has its own sacred assignment. Ernest Holmes states, each soul is a unique expression of the universe, and each has a place in the divine plan. So when we compare ourselves to others, we step out of alignment with our own soul. We forget that the Spirit did not duplicate us. We are not here to compete, and we are here just to express our divine life. And are you aware there's a sacred in the unwanted? What if the parts of ourselves that we've tried to uproot are actually carrying wisdom? What if the experience we labeled as mistakes were intentions to grow resilience? What if the times we felt our place were signs that we were meant to bring something new? The dandelion reminds us that what is unwanted by the world may be deeply needed by life. There are gifts within you that did not come from approval. There is strength within you that came from surviving. There is beauty within you that did not need permission, and all it belongs. How do we live the teaching? To live the teaching is to stop asking, am I good enough? And instead ask, how is life expressing through me right now? Ask yourself, how is your life expressing through you right now? Are you doing what you want to do? Are you being who you're supposed to be? Some of those questions are hard to answer because we try to pretend that we're something different, but don't. I like being weird. Like a lot of people call me weird. Some have called me aliens, but I don't know. I don't think I'm quite there yet, but so it's okay to be that, and it's okay to accept that, because when people say that you're weird, that tells me that I'm being who I am. And I like that. I like being who I am. So how is life expressing through you right now? Some days you'll be a rose, open, radiant, and celebrated. And some days you will be the dandelion, quietly enduring, resilient, and persistent. And both days are expressions of spirit. When we honor both, we stop waging war within ourselves. So this teaching also changes how we see one another. When I was in Quartzside, actually in Parker, which is outside of Quartzside, we went to a fair. And it was really quite interesting. And they had a few different acts and stuff like that. And there was a magician, and he was absolutely amazing. And then there was a pirate trainer. And his story was another really wonderful story. And these two gentlemen were up there performing and doing their acts and stuff like that. And each one of them was so totally in their groove. It was amazing to see. The guy that was doing the magic thing, he was just on. And he was waiting for people to come to the show. And he said, you know what? It doesn't really matter. Whoever is here is the perfect audience. And within 5 minutes of him starting the show, it started filling up. Because he just trusted. He just trusted and knew what he was doing is who he is and who he was. He's living his divine expression. And the gentleman that was doing the pirates, training pirates for 35 years, he gave us a story. And he looked like a pirate, like a vagabond pirate, you know, the boots all wrecked and stuff, and his hat. And he had these beautiful parrots flying all over the place. So he's a parrot. He was training parrots. And he was so involved in those parrots and in doing what he does best, being a parrot trainer. He's been all over the world training parrots. And he never wanted to be a musician. He didn't want to be those guys that were doing the stunt acting and stuff like that. He was so there, and those parrots were parrots that he had that he was trained. There's about 16 of them, were just flying around him and being there, and was so attentive to his energy. It was amazing to see. It was amazing to see. And the most amazing thing is I got to pet one, and I had one sitting on my hand and stuff like that. And those parrots lived to be 100 years old, so he knew eventually he's going to have to train people to look after these parrots. And so each one of these people doing what they love to do in that scorching heat, it was about 101 that day, and it was just, but they stood there, they did what they wanted to do because that's what they loved to do. They were expressing who they were, and it was so beautiful to see. Just like the dandelion and the rose, each one expressing who they were or what they are. So we can be that way too. So again, when we encounter someone who feels rough around the edges, who doesn't fit nearly into our expectations, who grows where we did not expect them to, we can pause and remember, this too is life expressing, like homelessness. They're expressing life too, in their own way, and wherever they need to be at that moment. The moment we stop labeling others as weeds is the moment we create true community. Today, I invite you to consider, where have you tried to prune yourself too harshly? Where have you dismissed parts of yourself so unworthy? Where have you believed you needed to be different to belong? And I invite you to gently release that belief, because that's not who you are. That's not who you are at all. You're not here by accident. You're not growing in the wrong place. You are not behind. You're exactly where life can express through you right here, right now. Like the wonderful ladies that do the singing. I mean, I'd love to get up there and sing a tune for you guys, but I'll tell you, in 3 seconds, you guys would all be out this room. Because I don't have a singing voice. I just don't. I mean, I wasn't blessed that way, but that's not what I'm here to express, right? So thank you, ladies, for your beautiful voices. So you're here exactly where life is expressed through you, to do what you do best. So I'd like to share this poem by Amy Ludwig van der Water that Edith so kindly shared with me. And it goes like this. 2 flowers, rose, dandelion, dandelion, rose. They study each other, but neither one knows how the other one lives, how the other one grows. Dandelion, you are the queen. You live in a vase of crystal. They love you. They walk on my face. They spray me with poison when I visit their yard. Being a dandelion is hard. Rose, you're free as a bird. You look like the sun. Children adore you. They pick you for fun. I'm safe in my vase, but I'm truly lonely too. Sometimes I wish I could be you. So free and in danger, or safe without power, which life would you choose if you were a flower? So in closing, I remind you to honor the rose within you, the beauty you have cultivated with care, and to honor the dandelion within you, the resilience that bloomed without permission. May you remember that spirit delights in every expression of itself, and may you know without question that you belong exactly where you are. And so it is.